All-Star Western number 7, written by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti, art by Moritat. Left off last issue with Jonah and Arkham breaking up a child enslavement camp thing, and the ringleader named Thurston Moody escaped from Gotham and headed down to New Orleans, and Jonah decided to give chase, and Arkham came along with. So they're down here, and then the moment they arrive, the mill blows up, and there's just this giant inferno with people inside it, and they're just like, all right, let's get to work. So Jonah rushes in with his horse. He puts as many people in on it as he can, sends people out on the horse, and he finds one woman who's cuddled up in a corner, and as people arrive on the scene, they're like, oh God, is anyone still inside? And someone's like, oh, I saw a man go in there, but he didn't come out. And then Jonah comes out with the woman, but he is badly injured from the flames. And then two people run up, and they're like, wow, hey, Jonah Hex, never thought I'd see him risk his life for anybody. And Arkham's like, who are you people? And he's like, we're friends of Jonah, just save his life. So they put a weird amulet around his neck, put him on horseback. The woman there decides to stay behind to help with the fire. Meanwhile, Arkham and the man go back to the shop. And then when they get there, it's been some time. Jonah's come back from the dead, seemingly. And the man's name is Hannibal. The woman's name is possibly Manser. Just context clues is all I got here. Regardless, they say oh, we brought you back with that amulet around the neck. And Jonah's like, yeah, very funny. Anyway, I got something I need to do here, going after Moody. And they're like, oh, here's the thing, Jonah, we need your help. It's about that mill explosion. And Arkham's like, yeah, no, they told me all about it while you were asleep. There are some anarchists, and they might be working with the law, and they call themselves the August 7, and they kill women and children, and they explode buildings. They're attacking immigrants. We need your help. And Jonah's like, not interested. Genuinely, truly, that's on you guys. Genuinely don't care. And Hannibal stops him, and he's like, I'm only asking to be polite, Hex. And he's like, oh, you want to fight? All right, let's fight. And then Hannibal just throws him across the room, because apparently the magical amulet thing that he was wearing helps make him stronger, faster, and healthier. So, yeah. Also, his name is Nighthawk. He's the guy at the end of issue 6, and the woman's name is Cinnamon, also at the end of issue 6. So, yeah, they fight for a little bit, and Hannibal gets the one-up on Hex, and he's like, fine, tell me about the anarchists. So then we get an extended, ruse scene where Jonah goes down to a ferry boat where there's essentially, a gladiatorial arena inside of it, and this giant beast of a man is there. He's being hyped up by the ringleader guy, and then they just send out this tiny little woman to go out and fight her. Her name is Z.C. Bronk, and during the fight she goes out and she just makes a bunch of small cuts on the guy, and then eventually takes him down after death by 1,000 cuts, and then finally just one big final show because she's so graceful and able to do that. Meanwhile, this entire time, the whole reason Hex is here is that he's posing as someone who is he was a former rebel in the Civil War, which is true, but then he's playing up how much he really hates different races, and how the Union screw all of them, and they're taking away the Southern pride or whatever. And he's saying it loud enough for this other rich guy nearby to be like, yeah, I agree with you, boy. Why don't you come over here with me? And starts telling him about well, one day the South will rise again, because like that woman in there, Z.C. Bronk, we're not going to win with some overwhelming show of force. No. We're going to win by death by 1,000 cuts until finally we can land the killing blow. I know this is all tying into the plot later, but for right now it doesn't really do anything, so it's kind of weird. So then we get one page of Nighthawk and Cinnamon talking to Arkham, and they're like, yep, we're going to go out and we're going to save New Orleans. And he's like, you're going out doing it as masked crime fighters? Psh, Gotham has none of those and will never have any of those. Mark my words. Blah, blah, blah. So then we go back down to the ferry boat, and the guy's like, Hex, what did you do for a living? He's like, well, I did a lot of physical labor jobs, so I'm pretty darn strong. And the guy's like, well, then have I got to have. And Hex made up the story about spending his last dollars to get here, looking for an honest pay for a white man. And he's like, oh, I got to wait for you and I to both make money. So Hex goes into the gladiatorial ring, and he again has to fight this just giant behemoth of a man. And as soon as the dude starts charging, Hex just like pushes his head into a wall, throws one punch, and he's out. And so Hex is like, is that all you got? And so ZC Bronc jumps down and is just like, care to dance with me? And that's where it leaves off. So theoretically, they're probably going to fight, which is weird because them fighting is the cover for this issue. So you thought that was going to be something here, but no, saving that for next issue. This is just another setup issue. It's fine. Like, it's just moving. Okay, so we set up, there's an anarchist. They're called the August 7. They're racists. And Hex now has to get involved while also doing his Thurston Moody thing. So, and also we've got was it Black Hawk? Nighthawk? Black Hawk is a book. Nighthawk and Cinnamon, which seemingly do their own things as well. I don't know. It seems a little bit scattershot, but from what I know of this book and how it handled the last arc, all these threads come together in some way. So I'm not too worried about that. But it does feel like this is mostly just setup of, okay, they're in New Orleans. They got to relearn, like, the lay of the land. And Hex is just going to be a character here. So it's fine. It's a perfectly serviceable book. I think its best point is probably the art right now. I think it's very well done in the art. And also how it can just let a moment sit. Like, it doesn't need every single caption box to be explained out of, like, and here's this thing that's happening. Like, no, it can just let the art tell the story, and I'm definitely a fan of that. So overall, I'm going to give it a 7. I think it's pretty well done, and I'm looking forward to seeing the continuing adventures in New Orleans.